Hello, everyone. As I was presented, I'm Arpine Kostanyan from Armenia, and I represent educational and cultural bridges. You know, we're totally 6 partners in the project, 4 institutions and 2 NGOs, and I'm for the NGO part from Armenia, and the organization is called Educational and Cultural Bridges. Well, as I know, we have only 10 minutes to present what we do, our mission, vision, projects that we implement. I will try to make an interesting presentation for you. Well, to begin with, I want to start with Armenia, the country that I represent, and just map that we can see here, so you can see where we are located. So we're in between of Europe and Asia. We have 4 neighbor countries, which are Turkey, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Iran. So, and as you know, Armenia is the first Christian country in the world. We adopted Christianity, officially adopted Christianity 301. Yeah, so here is the location where we're situated. Our organization is based in capital of Armenia, which is Yerevan. Okay, and we slowly move to the to our organization. But before that, I want to give just some brief information about history of Armenia. You know, we were part of the Soviet Union till 1991, and Armenia became officially independent in 1991. And since then, you know, Armenia is not a part of European Union, but we became a full member of Council of Europe in 2001. Let's go to the organization. I decided not to make a PowerPoint presentation, so we can have something creative, more different. So I have opened already the web page of our organization, which is ecbridges.com, and you can see the logo of our organization, which is a bridge. And from the name of the organization, it is visible that educational and cultural bridges, that the keywords that we tried to use, it's education, culture, and bridge. So our organization is like based on formal and non-formal education, intercultural cooperation between different countries, and bridge, which is a symbol of our organization, shows that we're trying to create bridges between different countries by means of cooperation with non-formal and formal projects. So it's a great honor, of course, for us to be part of this project of Horizon 2020. We are first time in Project Horizon 2020, because before we were cooperating in the projects of Erasmus+, mainly for 1 year. So this project for 3 years, it's a new project for us, but we're very happy to be a part of this beautiful project. So to move on with the organization, until I will speak about our mission projects that we implement, I want to give a brief history about our organization. So we were officially registered in 2013 by the Ministry of Justice of Armenia. So to be able to work in Armenia, the organization needs to be registered in the Ministry of Justice of Armenia, but we started our work since 2010. So since 2013, we started implementing projects mainly on the international level. And why we decided to start with the international level? Because from the very beginning, there was need of good projects on the international level. As there are many organizations registered in Armenia, and they do mainly like projects on the local level. So there was a great need of projects on the international level. So we'll briefly have a look what we do in our organization. So you have already seen the main directions of our organization, but I would like to mention one more time. So the main directions of our organization you can see on our webpage. It is educational and cultural bridges, human rights and democratization, conflict management and peace building, European citizenship, networking and collaboration, cross-cultural dialogue and communication, inclusion, integration of young people, sustainable development, healthy lifestyle, and development of creativity. And as I mentioned already, so the main objectives of the organization is to develop a formal and non-formal educational project to inform young people about international conferences, seminars, educational projects, to increase the international awareness of young people, and to support formation of new value system among young generation, raise the youth participation level. The partners, our partners, I would like to show, and I have brought for you also the brochure of our organization, and in our brochure you can see our partners, but we are cooperating with more than 20 countries, mainly from European Union countries. And here are our partners and the donors. The main source of our financing comes from European Commission and Council of Europe. As mentioned before, we are a full member of Council of Europe, and we are also a neighbor country for European Commission, or as it is also called, Eastern Partnership country, together with 6 countries, which is Moldova, Ukraine, Belarus, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. So yeah, these are the main donors, and you can see also here the organizations that we are cooperating. It is NGOs as well as universities, and at the bottom you can see the logo of University of Bath, University of Warsaw, Christian College, and National Academy of Science of Armenia, and we are happy that you are already in our partners list, and also we have NGO organization from Poland. Okay, we move on. So in the part of projects, you can see the projects that we have implemented. And you can see here the project. I was already in UK in our secondment for 1 month, from June 9 till July 9. And also we had pleasure and honor to host Sophie in Armenia. And we're looking for more people coming and joining the project in Armenia, and also traveling, of course, to our secondment to UK and Poland. Okay, so here is the project with Sophie. You can see all information, and I'm not going deep because you can read on our webpage. You can see also the gallery. On the section of videos, you can see also all the projects that we implemented and videos of the project. And I want to say, since I have only 2 minutes left, I want to talk connection of our organization with the topic. It is very important for us to be a representative from Armenia to be in this project, because a memory of disputed territories is connected with us and our history. And I want to refer to the genocide of Armenian people, 1915. As you know, that massacres of Armenian people took place, and more than 1.5 million people were killed. Though if we go back to our history, and I want to show you this map, Armenia was empire, and it was a country from sea to sea, and it is a popular expression when Armenian people say Armenia from sea to sea, and this expression is used to refer the kingdom of Tigran during our great king Tigran, and during that period, which is 95 and 66 BC, Armenia extended from Caspian Sea to Mediterranean Sea. Nowadays, we don't have, unfortunately, access to the sea, and you can see the territory that remains now, which is in red. Okay. I have also prepared a short video, but I guess we're gonna not have so much time. I will put the link of the video in our group so everyone can see. But the video is very interesting, and it is showing the whole history of Armenian nation, and especially how the territories have been shifted throughout our history. So currently we have only 30% of our territory, historical territory, and it is now currently on the territory of Turkey, so-called Western Armenia. So we have Western and Eastern Armenia, and also I want to mention that the language is Western Armenian and Eastern Armenian, and I speak both. But I guess already my time has been finished. I'm looking forward for your questions, and I'm also available online whenever you would like to contact for more information. But thank you very much for your attention, and I leave space for the other presenters. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Karolina Dziełak. I work in European Network Remembrance and Solidarity. In a minute, we will see a selection of photographs that I chose as a background for my short speech. In my organization, ENRS, we aim at creating a space for dialogue on 20th century events, historical events that are remarkable for our historical narratives, and most of the projects are conferences, symposiums, and other events. But what I am focused on at my work, and I've been working there for 3 years, is an educational project named In Between. Could we possibly? Okay, that's probably all right. Here you can see pictures took by students who took part in the project In Between, and the pictures are taken during their participants. And the project, in short words, well, I'm organizing study visits for students. They're international groups, and participants are of completely different backgrounds. They are either students of social sciences or they might have any personal reasons to take part in the project. We organize study visits in different regions, and we tend to call them borderlands, but obviously that requires a really wide understanding or very flexible understanding of the borderland, because we organize study visits, for example, in Catalan cross-border region, in Berlin, in Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina, as well as in Albanian northern borderland with Montenegro, and southern borderland with Macedonia and Greece, in Vojvodina, and several other regions also bordering with Poland, Czech and Slovak border, Krishana, so this Hungarian-Romanian borderland, and also in Ukraine, in Bukovina and Transcarpathia. So after 3 years of working on this project, we have a very small team. I collected at a drive that is kept in a drawer at my desk. We have 160 or probably more interviews documented and conducted by students, pictures, transcriptions, and so on. So probably the outputs of the project are bigger and giving more potential than we expected. But going back to the roots of the project, what we are doing is preparing a study visit in advance. Me or my colleagues, we are traveling to the particular region and starting a snowball method of contacting different groups, different organizations, different individuals, and the local actors representing mostly local minorities, both national minorities, ethnic minorities. We are trying to make as varied program as possible. So if we see that anything is missing and there are gaps, we are going to the places and trying to establish new contact. And it may happen under different circumstances, including very informal places and ways of doing that. And then we travel again with a group of 6 or 7 students speaking local languages to the place and meeting persons who agreed earlier to be interviewed by students in their native languages, and basically that's our know-how. It's very simple, but also quite challenging when it comes to practice. For example, in Mostar, it took us several months to establish a program that included both Bosnian and Croatian actors on the stage, and to make the program coherent. And what else can I say? We are doing our best to keep continuing, to keep organizing study visits in new locations in every next year. I think it will be continued. And parallelly, I'm doing my best to use the materials we already collected. So they're shared with Europeana Migration, with Uscreen, with our main partner of this project, which is FINA, where we are here. We are also working on creating learning activities for teachers based on those materials in partnership with Euroclio and Evans Foundation. So there are many development ways based on this simple pattern of organizing study visit for students. So I think that's it from me.
My name is Donatas Puslys. I come from Lithuania, from the Vilnius Institute of Policy Analysis, and my presentation will more or less consist out of 3 parts. The first part I called methodological, but let's say it's going to be more about the values that underline our work. Then I would speak about specific challenges that I think we face in Lithuania, and probably like it's more global also phenomenon. It's not just like I want to share only our perspective, but maybe you will find something in common. And the third part will consist of the presentation of some projects that we are doing and implementing. So let's start from the first part and the values or the methodological approach. So for me personally, how I came to this topic, because I previously was working also as a journalist, as an editor of an online daily, where we also dedicated a lot of our attention to the historical memory and the contentious past. Few authors or people are important in this case. So I always remember the quotation which I found in the book of Ryszard Kapuscinski. I think this book was called Christ with the Rifle on His Shoulder. And there he spoke about the wisdom of a mother. Like when the child is playing in another room, when the mother hears some noise, she is calm. She knows everything is all right. The child is playing and doing things. And when the silence comes, you have to go and check. So for me, this was very important in approaching our past in Lithuania, because it's always very easy to listen to the voices that are present. But you always have to look for silence too. Especially when we speak about certain minorities, or actually minorities now, but previously kind of majorities, Jewish people, Polish people that used to live in Lithuania. So we have to go backwards, or like to listen to the silence, or even go abroad to regain our history. The second approach was by Father Józef Tischner, who in his Ethics of Solidarity defined the concept of solidarity as it is. So he took this parable of the Good Samaritan and said that the real solidarity is taking each other burdens, so or sharing each other's pain. So we try to approach this past through this approach too. And this, the last thing is the wisdom of one of the Holocaust survivors that I had an opportunity to interview. His name was Johanna Fine. He came to Lithuania to present his newly translated book. And when asked why did he come to Lithuania, where the Lithuanians were also took part in the killings of his family, he said in his answer, there is one word or one sentence that I hate in the world mostly. That's all of them. It's like it never happened that all of them did this, like all Lithuanians, all Jewish, all Polish or something. We have to look for particular persons. So for me, this stayed as a very important lesson for all the life. And now coming to the challenges that we face, I think we are different in a way in the European context or in the European Union because we copy the general narrative sometimes, speaking about the challenges of multiculturalism. But in my opinion, in Lithuania, we face a totally different challenge. That's the challenge of homogenization. Because now we have, according to the official statistics, 84% of Lithuanians, ethnic Lithuanians, living in the country. And this is, we have to be clear, that's because of the tragedies that happened during, especially the Second World War, Holocaust, the deportation of Polish people after the Second World War, the deportation, like the Germans left Klaipėda region, the Baltic Sea, and so on. So it's always easy to listen to this homogenized majority, which is also was, in a way, a victim of the Soviet oppressions, and which also has the repressed memory which it wants to tell. But then it's very easy to not to listen to the others. And when we speak about the history, it's also very important because my students, when I was teaching history at the high school, were always asking, why the hell do we need to speak about the dead people? And it's always, I had to explain that it's not only about the dead people, it's about us. Because we are still struggling with, for example, the definition of what the nation is. Do we define based according on a citizenship? Or do we define it based on ethnicity? And how we divide then the memory? Because we can often feel this competitive memories in the public space, or as Aleid Ashman, I think, described the dialogue of the deaf, where everyone is able to speak, but no one is able to listen. We define this memory as ours, and this memory as theirs. So, for example, yeah, we have our Siberia, the Jewish people have the Holocaust. And here, why I spoke about the Josef Tischner and his idea on solidarity. Like how to make that my pain would help to understand the pain of the other, or vice versa. How this pain can bring us together, not to, separate us, and how to deal with this repressed memory where like many people were not able to tell their stories, the Lithuanians during the Soviet times. And the Holocaust also was, like, no one spoke about Holocaust in the real terms during the Soviet occupation. It was the genocide of the Soviet citizens, as it was described. So we are regaining it. Of course, in a methodological way, it's also very important in our context to speak about the life that happened before the tragedies that we are analyzing, because sometimes it happens that there is nothing, and then we come to the tragedy. But without understanding the life, we will not understand the tragedies that happen. And I think here in Warsaw, in Polin Museum, they openly stated this in their concept of the museum, saying that it's not the museum about the Holocaust. We have to understand the life, then we will understand what happened. And also avoiding the historical determinism, because in our public narratives, we also nowadays quite usually find this attempt that we know what happened at a certain point. But then looking backwards, it's very easy to say, all the events before A, B, C, D, E, F, D led to this happening. History is not predetermined. We can analyze different things, but they not necessarily lead one to each other. And then, of course, we also deal with the case of disinformation. I mean, coming from various sources, but this disinformation, I think it tries to impose this antagonistic memory where like the certain groups are not able to speak with each other anymore, or they are trying to diminish the social and institutional trust, because with institutional trust is also many challenges. For example, we have various institutions, even state institutions, competing with the competing narratives, coming to some explanations about what happened. And okay, as my time is fastly approaching, I still have 1.5 minutes. I will speak shortly about some projects that we do. So here I would distinguish in between two types of action. So we have let's say, traditional methods and interdisciplinary approach, as I kind of described. So traditional methods, of course, as we are policy analysis institute, we write policy papers, we participate in the working groups. For example, I myself was a member of the historical memory group in the city of Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania. We prepare different methodologies to the schools and especially pay huge attention not going directly to the school to teach children and students, but to preparing methodologies and teaching the educators. Because in our opinion, it's a more long-lasting effect than when the teachers are prepared, because with the students we can meet once. Then we had different projects, for example, with about cooperation between Lithuanian, Russian, and Polish dissidents, and how they fought for the freedom during the Soviet time, because it's also very easy to lose those common bridges when nowadays we have some, let's say, conflicts, especially with Russia. When sometimes I feel, in my opinion, we lose to Putin when, like, fighting against his disinformation or his tactics, we act like Putin ourselves. If they say all Lithuanians are fascists, so we say, all the Russians are like this, which means also we base our narrative on the collective culpabilities and collective guilt and collective responsibility, not seeing individual persons or not differentiating people and the regime. And speaking about the interdisciplinary approach, so for example, we initiated such so-called project Conversations Not About the Theater, which we organized together with the Lithuanian National Drama Theater. We have each month on the last Thursday the conversations about different topics, ranging from historical memory to for example, how the women are represented in the historical narratives and so on. And also we have discussions after their performances sometimes, and there were like very interesting new projects born in the theater. For example, there was a performance called Dreamland, where the refugees themselves play and tell their stories. So we are organizing discussions after those performances. There was a similar performance called Green Grass, where the people from the town of Visaginas, which used to be the so-called atomic city, where the atomic nuclear power plant was standing, and it was closed, so they had to reorient their life, and many of them were Russian immigrants, so it was even harder for them because they were kind of closed community in this city. We have also, like, I personally involved in a project now with two musicians, one wonderful opera singer, one piano player, so they go and play the songs in Yiddish in different schools all around Lithuania, so I'm responsible for storytelling and explaining the situation. And also now we are initiating the project with the Museum of the Modern Art about the year of 1990, which is our year of independence, and we want to analyze the role that the modern art played in changing the attitudes in a society back then, so before the independence, and also what's the role of the modern art in nowadays in reflecting historical narratives and fighting discrimination and things like that. So thank you.